Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're dedicating the entire list to one of the most storied and most beloved names in dive watch history, Seiko. No manufacturer on Earth has done more to democratize the professional dive watch than Seiko, and no lineup in the brand's catalog expresses that commitment more completely than the Prospex and Marinemaster families. From the cult classic SKX that introduced a generation of collectors to mechanical dive watches to the uncompromising professional instrument of the Marinemaster, these 5 picks trace the full arc of what Seiko dive watchmaking looks like across every price point and every level of ambition. Whether you're buying your first diver or adding a Japanese manufacturer masterpiece to a mature collection, this list has something to stir genuine desire. Let's get into it. Number 5. Seiko SKX009. The Seiko SKX009 is the SKX007's most charming and most distinctive sibling, a watch that takes the legendary DNA of the world's most recommended entry-level dive watch and delivers it in a colorway combination so immediately appealing that it has earned its own devoted collector following entirely independent of its more famous brother. Where the SKX007 presents in the deep, serious navy blue that defined a generation of dive watch aesthetics, the SKX009 offers the iconic blue dial paired with a burgundy bezel insert, a combination nicknamed the Pepsi inverse or the Coke by different corners of the collecting community, and one that produces a visual warmth and vintage character that the standard colorway cannot replicate. Everything that made the SKX family legendary is present and intact. The 42mm case of proven proportions, the unidirectional bezel with its satisfying click and positive action, the cathedral hands with their generous loom application, the 200-meter water resistance that exceeds the recreational diving standard by a meaningful margin, and the 7S26 automatic movement, robust, reliable, and entirely indifferent to the kind of incidental abuse that daily dive watch wearing inevitably produces. Now discontinued alongside the rest of the SKX family, clean examples in genuine unpolished condition are becoming progressively more difficult to find as collector demand continues to absorb available pre-owned supply. The SKX009 in the Coke colorway may be the most visually joyful watch Seiko ever produced at its price point, and joy, it turns out, is not a quality that discontinuation diminishes. The Seiko SKX009 is available pre-owned for approximately $200 $350 USD depending on condition. Number 4. Seiko Prospex SRPE53. The Seiko Prospex SRPE53 is the modern successor that the SKX family's devoted following both demanded and deserved, a watch that takes the lessons of decades of SKX love and applies them to a contemporary platform without sacrificing the character, the proportions, or the honest tool watch personality that made the original so enduring. The SRP53 updates the formula with Seiko's current generation caliber 4R36, bringing hand-winding and hacking to a movement platform that the 7S26 always withheld, a practical improvement that daily wearers genuinely appreciate and that reflects Seiko's understanding of what the collector community had been asking for across years of forum discussion. The case proportions honor the SKX legacy without simply reproducing it. The lug shape, the crown-protecting shoulders, the overall silhouette all carry clear DNA continuity while presenting a slightly more refined and contemporary execution that modern manufacturing tolerances enable. The dial, in the deep blue that Seiko dive watches have made their own, carries applied indices of three-dimensional presence and a loom application of genuinely impressive field performance. 200-meter water resistance, unidirectional bezel with screw-down crown, and an overall construction solidity that reflects decades of dive watch manufacturing experience complete a package that honors its ancestry while standing entirely on its own considerable merits. For the collector who missed the SKX era or simply wants that spirit in a current production watch, the SRPE53 is the most direct and most satisfying answer Seiko has provided. The Seiko Prospex SRPE53 retails for approximately $350 $425 US. Number 3. Seiko Prospex Save the Ocean. The Seiko Prospex Save the Ocean collection occupies a unique and increasingly important position in the dive watch market, a family of timepieces that combines Seiko's genuine technical dive watch capability with a conservation mission that transforms the act of purchase into a statement of values as much as a statement of taste. Seiko's partnership with ocean conservation organizations channels a portion of every Save the Ocean sale toward marine environmental protection, giving these watches a dimension of purpose that purely aesthetic or technical dive watches cannot offer, and doing so without compromising a single element of the diving specification that makes the Prospex family credible as a tool watch proposition. The Save the Ocean dials are where the collection's character is most fully expressed. Deep, richly colored treatments in ocean blues and greens that reference the underwater environments the watches are designed to protect, rendered with the sunburst and gradient finishing techniques that Seiko's dial manufacturing capability enables at extraordinary value. The caliber 4R35 or 6R35 movements, depending on configuration, deliver power reserves from 41 to 70 hours alongside hand-winding and hacking functionality. 200-meter water resistance is standard across the family, and the overall construction quality reflects the Prospex line's positioning as Seiko's serious sporting instrument range. Wearing a Save the Oceans watch carries a conversation-starting narrative that other dive watches at this price simply cannot provide, because the ocean deserves advocates on every wrist that claims to love it. The Seiko Prospex Save the Ocean retails for approximately $425–600 USD depending on configuration. Number 2. Seiko Prospex Turtle SRPD21. The Seiko Prospex Turtle SRPD21 is the watch that proved beyond any remaining doubt that the original Turtle's distinctive cushion case, one of the most immediately recognizable and most beloved silhouettes in Seiko's entire dive watch history, had lost none of its appeal across the 4 decades since its introduction, and that a faithful modern reinterpretation could earn genuine collector devotion rather than merely nostalgic tolerance. The Turtle nickname derives from the original 6309 reference of the 1970s and 1980s, whose cushion-shaped case with its rounded corners and generous lug-to-lug measurement was immediately and affectionately compared to the shell of its reptilian namesake, and the SRPD21's faithful reproduction of those proportions in a contemporary package triggers the same warmth and recognition in collectors who grew up with the original and in younger enthusiasts encountering the design for the first time. The caliber 4R36 inside brings the complete movement specification, hand-winding, hacking, and a 41-hour power reserve, to a case of 200-meter water resistance, unidirectional bezel, and the overall construction robustness that Seiko's Prospex engineering philosophy demands. The deep blue sunburst dial with its applied indices and broad, well-loomed hands delivers the legibility that professional dive use requires and the visual character that collector enjoyment demands in equal measure. The SRPD21 is the Turtle reborn without compromise, a second chance at a design that deserved to last forever, and through Seiko's wisdom in reviving it, now will. The Seiko Prospex Turtle SRPD21 retails for approximately $425 to $500 USD. Number 1. Seiko Marinemaster SBDX001. The Seiko Marinemaster SBDX001 takes the top position on today's list not simply because it is the most expensive watch here, but because it is one of the most extraordinary dive watches ever produced by any manufacturer at any price, and because understanding what it represents changes how the entire list above it is read and appreciated. The SBDX001 is not a sports watch with a dive rating appended for marketing credibility. It is a professional diving instrument engineered from first principles by a manufacturer that has supplied dive watches to Japan's professional diving community for decades, and every design decision it embodies reflects that uncompromising functional mandate. The monocoque case construction, a single-piece case body that eliminates the conventional screw-down case back entirely, is the SBDX01's most radical and most consequential engineering choice, producing a water resistance integrity of 300 meters that the elimination of the caseback seal makes structurally inherent rather than merely specification stated. The movement inside, Seiko's proprietary caliber 8L35, produced entirely in-house at Seiko's Shizukuishi manufacture, beats at 28,800 vibrations per hour with a 50-hour power reserve, delivering the smooth sweeping seconds hand and long-term accuracy that a manufacturer caliber of this specification provides, and that no outsourced movement at any price can precisely replicate. The dial, deep black, immaculately finished, with applied hour markers of three-dimensional presence and hands of extraordinary loom performance, is a functional masterpiece of information design, instantly and completely legible under the reduced visibility conditions of actual diving use. The bracelet, finished with the meticulous alternating brushed and polished surface treatment that Seiko's manufacturer-level finishing capability enables, wears with a solidity and comfort that reflects engineering investment at every link. The SBDX001 exists at the point where Seiko's century of watchmaking experience, its genuine manufacturer independence, and its absolute commitment to tool watch integrity converge into a single object of complete professional credibility, and at its price, nothing from any manufacturer anywhere in the world competes with what it delivers. The Seiko Marinemaster SBDX001 retails for approximately $2,500 and $3,000 USD.